Hello, it's Anisha, and welcome to another episode of Magical Minds with Anisha Johal. I'll be spreading the magic by bringing you a series of inspirational interviews with some very magical minds to educate, empower, and encourage your magical mind. In this episode, I'm joined by Chan from Sparkle Stars, which is an early years parenting coach who creates educational and engaging resources for parents to support them on their parenting journey. Chan, welcome to Magical Minds.
Hi.
It's so great to have you here today with us. Or why don't you start off by telling us a little bit about Sparkle Stars?
Well, Sparkle Stars it's sort of a varied business. um, it started off basically when I had my children. So I've got three daughters now. And I began Sparkle Stars when I had my eldest daughter. It was just a way of me creating resources, kind of like on the cheap, so I can teach her like her phonics at home and her numbers at home, and trying to like give her a head start in school. And then I kind of started when she was about like a year and a half, to try to like just get her, just to show her that education can be a fun thing to do and it doesn't have to be so repetitive. And Sparkle Stars like literally just grew from there. Um, and it's been like an ongoing journey with so doing resources and then also actually doing running like playgroup sessions as well. So it's sort of been varied throughout the last couple of years. So yeah, it's been a nice journey so far. So and there's definitely more to come. Definitely.
Totally. It's so nice to hear about how it started with yourself and your children, and then you shared it with other people to have that initiative to kind of get it out there and support other parents on their parenting journey. It's all great to hear about.
Yeah, definitely.
So, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you offer in Sparkle Stars? Are there any particular resources or support that you offer parents?
So there's quite a few ways that you can work with me. My main thing is obviously running book club, which I do sort of every month. Currently it's on hold because of the new baby. Um, but once I sort of get back up and running, hopefully in the summer, um, but the book club is basically you get like 20 ready-made resources, in math and English, so like phonics as well. Which I try to sort of relate to the book of the month as well. And then so all the resources are printed and laminated and sent to your house. So you got literally like a ready-made pack ready for you to sit and enjoy with your children. So the resources sort of range from early years, so roughly from like nursery age to year one. So they kind of like increase obviously with the age as well. And obviously there's lots of tips and help. There's a guide to obviously teach you how to teach your children as well, what to do, the instructions as well. Um, Another way is you can actually just have access to all my resources. And you just pay like a certain fee each month, and you can just have access to everything, and you can just have unlimited downloads, whatever you want to do, whatever however you want to do, you can teach it yourself. And so there's that option as well. And also the option of actually working with me one to one. So then I can actually go into detail a little bit more on the different types of methods that you can use to teach your children. Um, and one of the main things that I have come across, a lot of parents are just like, oh, I don't know how to teach my children maths. How do I do numbers with them? How do I do counting with them? And a lot of people sort of just do the sort of traditional ways, but this counting can be done like literally just in everyday activities, that even just like putting the clothes in the washing machine, and you can get your jobs done, and then your child is helping you, and it's just like, let's count the clothes and put them in the washing machine together. How many do we have? And that's just a simple activity. One, your washing's in the washing machine done by with your little helper, and it all just gets all done together. There's so many different ways that you can actually teach your children without actually teaching you, actually them knowing that they're learning something. So I know with my children now, my eldest is 6. So when I said, oh, let's do learning, then sometimes she does pull a bit of a face. Oh, mommy, I do that at school. I'm like, yeah, let's now have to do like find different methods to teach her without her actually knowing that she's learning something. So yeah, there's a lot of different
Yeah.
ways.
Yeah, definitely. It sounds like you're offering a real good variety to parents. And what I like is that you've obviously got the expert knowledge, you've worked with early years and before starting Sparkle Stars, but you've also got that parenting experience as well. You're
Yeah.
directly, your kids are that age, so you're learning from experience and you're able to help parents, which I think is what makes Sparkle Stars so unique is, that position and that experience that you've got.
Thank you. Yeah, it's nice. It's nice having a varied role. Before I was just sort of just teaching, and then you only sort of know one aspect of it, and then you can never
Yeah.
really understand how parents are feeling. And they're like, I'm like, it's not that hard to teach them. I don't get it. But when you actually have your own children, oh, it's a complete different ball game. It really
Yeah.
is. And then trying to get them to focus. And then my eldest, like, she's a bit of a know-it-all, and then my second one's a bit like, oh, I'm tired now, mommy. I'm bored. And then I've got to think of ways then to like do stuff with her. And now, obviously, with my baby, I'm like, I don't know what she's gonna be like, because she might just be like, "Oh, mommy, this is just too much effort. I can't bother." Like, so definitely gonna be thinking of different methods for her. So we'll see.
That's really interesting how, the same approach doesn't work for two
No.
children. And it's great how you're kind of noticing that and then kind of shaping your content around that and
Mm.
kind of navigating that difference, because every child learns in a different way.
Yes, definitely, definitely. It does keep you on your toes. It does make you think, okay, she's not going to learn this way. So, okay, let's try it this way. My second is very much more practical. So, you're going to
Yeah.
be like, we're going to do a practical activity. So, if it
Mhm.
involves jumping up and down, she's definitely for it. But my
Yeah.
eldest says she's happy to sit and like go through a workbook with me. Oh, let's do this, let's do that. And then she's happy to show it off to her teachers, which is nice. So, that's kind of a nice thing. But it sort of varies between them. And then sometimes she wants to jump up and down, and the other one wants to sit down and do actual writing. So you definitely got to like be able to adjust. And I think with the actual resources I do make, there's so much variety in there that your child will never get bored. So that's the main thing.
Yeah, that was what I was just about to ask. How does that kind of translate into your resources then? Do you have, for example, a particular topic like phonics? Do you have loads of different resources about that particular subject?
Yeah, so there's with phonics, there's such a varied subject that there's so many different ways to learn, and so many ways to learn the sounds, and then you move on to your sight words, and and then it's like spelling and writing. There's so much going on with actually learning English, that I do try to make it as fun as possible. So you do lots of like hands-on activity and some sort of like sometimes presentations with my girls, because they like to be like the center of attention, so that works sometimes as well. Um, and just lots of different ways that you can teach them. And obviously, I'm trying to obviously work with parents and actually have sort of a one-to-one with them. Say, let's do it this way. Try this method, and see what works best. And then one method definitely works for some children. Some that one does not work for another child. So you got to like suss out in a little bit of what your child likes to do, and then just go from there and sort of
Yeah.
adjust. Because one week they like this way, and the next week it's like, oh, I don't want to learn that way now.
Yeah, I guess they can get bored of like the same style because kids like variety, but then
Yes.
also every kid has their own learning style as well. So
Yeah.
it's great to see that kind of variety in the projects and services that you offer.
Yeah.
So how did your work in early years before Sparkle Stars kind of like inspire you and kind of motivate you to do what you're doing today with Sparkle Stars?
Well, things I've always actually really enjoyed sort of working with children. And when you actually working in a setting, so in a nursery setting or in a public school or private school, there's sort of you're working with a number of children. And I kind of sort of found that when you're in a sort of a private nursery, you're not really teaching the children too much. And I don't know, but it's just me being quite old school, but I'm like, I do want my kids to learn something. And they are learning in private nurseries, they definitely are, but it's all through play. And then some children like know the alphabet, and some children don't know how to write their name. And I guess with Sparkle Stars, it's just to give them just a tiny little bit of a push and say, yeah, let's do this. Let's do some writing now. Let's do this. And we can definitely play as well. But everything that I teach in Sparkle Stars is all through play. So even writing names, it's like we'll do it outside with the chalk. We'll make colored rice, and we'll use the foam and that kind of stuff. So they're still learning through play, but I kind of just felt in the settings that I worked with, it was very much sort of like tick boxes. And that kind of sort of put me off. And it's kind of sort of put me off sending my own children to nurseries. It's like, well, I can do what they're doing and I probably do it so much more better. And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to teach my own children to do it, and then get them like 100% ready for primary school, and then just go from there. And I still do as much as I can with them now as well. And obviously with the homework extra, a little bit extra as well. So um, I think definitely working in it, it definitely sort of pushed me to where I need to be right now. So yeah, it's been great.
Yeah,
Definitely
it's
been an
really interesting.
experience.
Yeah, it's interesting to hear about how your experience, working in that early years industry has, shaped your parenting model. And now you're kind of taking it a step further by helping other parents on their journey. And I really
Mm.
liked your point about play, because I guess kids learn more when they're having fun, right? If it
Yes,
doesn't
yes.
feel like they're learning or they're working, I guess fun is at the forefront, and then that learning and education is like a byproduct of that. And it's
Mm.
great that you're able to kind of identify that and execute that, because I think a lot of parents could possibly, get bored of the whole play thing and think, you know what, it's easy if I just kind of give them a textbook and teach them.
Yeah.
But the result, the kid's not going to learn as much. Whereas, you're developing those creative ways. And, your Instagram is a prime example of that. All the content you've got on there showcasing your children, learning through play. It's, great to kind of see that parenting approach.
Yeah, there are some parents who do the traditional sort of way, like, let's sit down and do a textbook. Sometimes my partner does that as well. Like, listen, but he does it now, so he gives us some study and like she'll do it together. And then she challenges him. I'm like, well, why don't you test daddy now and then, see how many he gets right. And then so then they do that. So it's now between them two, it's sort of become a bit of a competition. So I'm like,
Okay.
okay, that's fine. So we're making it a little bit more fun, but then it just makes it a little bit more challenging. So, and she's definitely one of those ones like, I need to win everything.
Yeah.
So,
Good motivation then to carry on
yeah.
learning. So what was the magical moment that inspired you to create Sparkle Stars?
Definitely when I had my children, my eldest, and then just watching her sort of play. And then when she was like sort of year and a half, and I'm like, oh, I want to do so a bit more. So I started off doing sensory stuff with her. So I saw all the playing with all the sensory like materials and things like that, and also kind of just wanting to just like introduce numbers to her and introduce letters and things like that with her, and that was all sort of in the sensory stuff. So for example, if I had like a box of like coloured rice, I just put like magnetic alphabet letters in there. I'm like, what's this letter? Let's do the sound together. And she sort of picked it up, like because they just copy. So whatever you do, they just copy you. So I'm like, actually, this works. So let's do this. And then it just sort of came from there. And I thought, and me just setting up the Instagram page was just sort of like on a whim. I thought, oh, it'd be such a good way to actually create memories and keep pictures. And that's sort of started from there, because like you take so many photos on your phone and just like, oh, they might disappear one day. I'm like, this would be great, so I can show her when she's older. Like, this is what I used to do with you. And then it just grew from there, because then people were sort of like reaching out like, oh, how do you do this, or how do you make that, or how do you teach your children this? I'm like, this is how you're gonna do it now. It kind of just literally just grew from that, and I thought, this is great. So there's so many parents out there who do struggle and think like, oh, I don't know what to teach them and I don't know what to do. But it's actually quite simple if you put your head to it. It's not that difficult, and a lot of stuff you can find at home in the kitchen, and you actually don't need to buy anything. Like, everything's available at home for you to learn. It's just about sort of figuring out what you can use and what materials you have. Yeah, it just literally just grew from that, so it's quite nice. Yeah.
It's lovely to hear about how, your intention wasn't to create this. It was kind of like more of a fun thing. Like, you're teaching your child, you're making memories, you're, posting about them. And then to have parents kind of reaching out to you, asking you, how did you do that? Like, that must have felt like, amazing to kind of have that response. And then, the birth of Sparkle Stars, it just sounds like a very kind of natural kind of in the
Yeah.
flow,
It does feel like that. It does feel nice when parents do reach out, but it's like,
yeah.
I'm not an expert. I don't really know. I'm like, yeah, I'm just doing what I just wanted to make a record of it. That's it. But then it's quite nice, like, because then I can share all this knowledge with them. And I also
Yeah.
have all that teaching knowledge. And it's quite nice to actually share it with other parents. And it's nice when they do reach out and they're like, oh, I did that with my child. They loved it. And then like 1 week, oh, they hated it. I'm like, try this way. So it's nice, and it's nice to give parents some sort of idea, like, oh, I don't know what to do, but let's try this, and they love it. And it's nice just to teach parents, like, yeah, you can actually do fun stuff with your child
Yeah.
without actually breaking the bank as well, so it's a good thing.
Yeah, it's true. And I like how you've been creative with things at home, because I think there's so many products you can buy from different stores and online about, educational resources and books. But
Mm,
like you said, there is stuff at home you can learn with, and you've got that creativity to think, okay, like you said with the rice and the letters, how can I do that? You created a game out of it. And I think a lot of parents could maybe struggle with that creativity, and it's great to see you kind of have that and like sharing that through your page.
Yeah, it is nice. There's so much stuff out there, and honestly, I can just make a whole list of like what you can do. You don't have to go anywhere. Literally, just like look in your cupboard, and that's it.
That's so true, yeah. So how do you feel like the pandemic has impacted children's learning? Because, you know, there's been a lot of homeschooling, from your kind of professional experience working in early years and your personal experience as a parent. What do you think were the challenges of learning through the pandemic, and how have you navigated them?
Well, actually, through the pandemic, it was a bit of a stressful situation because it's just like, oh my God, like what do we do now? But then I'm very sort of used to having the girls at home already, so it was a bit of a shock, and it was a bit like, oh my God, because they just started school, and then it was just like, okay, now they're home again, so trying to explain to them because they loved it at school, they loved going, and but lucky that we got the business sort of like got up and running, and I had lots of parents reaching out and say, "Oh, I want to be part of book club. I need resources. I need this. I need that." So it was very sort of it was definitely a bit of a challenge trying to like, support other parents and also look after my girls as well. But the only way we kind of went through it was like I actually got my girls involved and actually got them to help me. So anything like that was sort of cut and laminated, they'd organize it. So if I had like a whole load of alphabet. Like tracing letters and of the alphabet had to be sort of organized. I'm like, okay, mum's gonna laminate and cut them. You're gonna put them all in alphabetical order and make piles. So they used to do that. They're like, Mummy, this hasn't got a letter Z in it. This hasn't got this letter in it. This one's missing. This one's broken. I'm like, okay, fine. Let's put the broken stuff there. So at the same time, they were learning. So I'm like, what's this letter? What's that sound? So at the same time, you're trying to create the stuff for other parents and you're also trying to teach at the same time. And that was the only sort of way we kind of got through it. And obviously with the support of my partner doing like the post office drops. I'm like, can you go post this now? Like, it's just like, and then I eventually sort of wanted to do a bit more digital stuff so I can actually just get parents just to download things themselves and create it at home, print and laminate yourself at home. So we kind of went down that route as well because obviously with the Royal Mail they were having issues through the pandemic as well. And I'm like, oh, this is not going to reach people, so I've got to find a different platform to reach other parents, and that's why I started creating more like getting parents to have access to digital stuff. So I would sort of just email it to them. And then it's sort of just like from emails, it's like, oh, actually, you can have access to my Google Drive now, or you can actually access my shop now. So as you sort of grow, you actually learn different ways of actually giving stuff to parents, sometimes on sort of like some sort of automatic system as well. So we're still getting there with all of that. But there's
Definitely, yeah.
definitely lots of learning we did in the pandemic. Definitely. It was nice. But we just got on with it, and the weather held up, which was nice. So we did a lot of stuff outside. So yeah.
Sounds like you didn't let the kind of pandemic be a barrier or to stop you. It seemed like you let it kind of help you to grow and you thrived in that environment. And I really
Yeah.
like that mindset, and especially about getting your children involved in like your orders as well. You know, that I guess, you know, you could be thinking about, I've got all these orders, I need to get them done, but you're actually thinking, how can I get the kids involved? How can I kind of still teach them through this, which is lovely to hear. But also your point about how you're learning through experience, because, you know, like you said, you were creating the resources yourself, posting them, and then, you know, you transformed it to digital, and then you're evolving your digital strategy. And it's great to kind of see that kind of continual growth and learning throughout the whole process, because I guess if the pandemic's taught us anything, it's taught us to be in the moment and to flow a bit more. I think
Yeah,
as
definitely.
society, we're used to being so rigid and structured, but the pandemic and kind of your story with Sparkle Stars is a prime example of how actually being in the flow and being present moment to moment and letting kind of the next step unfold will just take you on an incredible journey.
Yeah, definitely. It's still definitely a learning curve. Like even now with my little new baby as well. And it's like I still want people to have access to my resources, and I actually put it up on a actual teaching website so people can actually still download and actually just download all the PDFs as much as they want. Um but it's sort of still trying to like balance, obviously trying to upload stuff and obviously like manage little baby at the same time, but we're still definitely getting there. And there's a lot of new stuff that I'm actually going to be introducing hopefully in the summer. I'm aiming for the summer to kind of like to have some sort of like normality back, but because I think she'll be older by then as well. She'll be like a good couple of months, so it'd be nice to actually do stuff and get back into the flow of actually producing stuff. So there's definitely lots of new things coming out, a lot of stuff that will help parents who are homeschooling, or parents who just actually have children who go to primary school but want to do a little bit extra with them at home. Because obviously primary school is great and it's, you know, great sending them to nursery, but it's always just a little bit like, I don't know, I think it's just me old school, like you got to do a little bit extra at home as well. So,
No,
definitely.
definitely. I think, that's you're only adding benefit to your children in their future.
Yeah,
So it's great that you're actually being proactive in that sense and,
yeah.
spreading your magic through Sparkle Stars.
Yeah, and it's really nice actually when I think something that was really nice for me to hear was when my girls had their parents' evening and had their phone calls from their teachers, and they're like, they're all in the top sets, they know everything, and they know all the literacy, they know all the English, they're so good at everything, top sets for this. My eldest is doing like year two phonics, so she's only in year one, and she's actually doing like a level higher that she actually shouldn't be doing, which is great. So she likes, that's where she comes like, I know everything, mummy. So I'm like, yeah, you do. Like, and then she's doing so much more, and it's so nice to hear from teachers that actually they're all in the top set. It's brilliant, because sometimes I look at my girls, I'm like, do you know what you're actually learning? And when the teachers say, yeah, actually they do know what they're learning, and it's nice, and you kind of do get a bit of a buzz out of it, think, actually, you know what, it is nice, what I'm doing is working. And it's nice when teachers reach out and then gives you that bit of a boost, because everyone needs it, even children, even grown-ups need that little bit extra, like, yeah, well done, like little pat on the back kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely. It's great to see that, your resources and your parenting and coaching is having an actual direct, tangible difference to your children. And I guess that just goes to show that any parents kind of considering purchasing your products, it actually, has made a difference, that
Yeah.
teachers are even able to notice it as well.
Yeah, and it's nice. It's nice when teachers reach out to parents. I'm like, oh, well done. And I'm like, oh, thanks. I'm doing something right. Because I think as parents, you always have that sort of doubt about what I'm doing with my children. Am I doing this right? Am I doing that right? And you always have that sort of mum guilt. I'm like, I'm trying to run this. I'm trying to, produce products for other parents. I'm like, I'm not spending enough time with them, and it's that consistent mum guilt you always have. But it's nice when other parents and other teachers do reach out and say, yeah, it works. I'm brilliant. I love it. And I'm like, actually, yeah, I'm going to do more. Just,
Yeah, I guess it kind of motivates you and encourages you to kind of keep going and keep thriving.
yeah, definitely, definitely. I've got literally like a whole list of ideas in my head. I'm
So
like,
you've mentioned a few new ideas and projects that you're hoping to launch in the summer. Is there anything you can tell us, or is it a secret at the moment?
oh, it's not. No, it's not a secret. I'm actually launching a 12-month um, morning book. So each month you have a morning folder. It's still sort of like trying to find out the technical words for it. But basically, each morning you can do like a set activity with your children. So we're doing like numbers and alphabets, tracing, counting, and all that kind of stuff. So sort of a variety. So in each booklet, it's roughly about 20 to 30 pages of activities to do every single morning, and some your child can do independently and some you can do with your child as well. So parents who actually are homeschooling full time, they can sort of just put it out for their child, let them get on with it while you sort of like quickly whiz around the house to like make it a bit more livable kind of thing. And then so I'm doing a 12-month thing, so each month you get, so one for January, February, March, so on from there. So the activities and levels sort of vary each month. So by the time you get to December, you're actually doing sort of like year one kind of work, and it just increases as you go on. And the aim of this is to basically you do the same book every day for that month, every morning. So it doesn't have to be like so long, roughly about half an hour, 20 minutes, depending on your child's mood. Sometimes they want to do good hours work, and sometimes they want to just do like 10 minutes. So go with the flow with your child. But that's sort of like something that's going to be launching very soon. So just getting it all ready, and like I'm trying to keep it to a minimal like 30 pages, and then so far it's about 45. I'm like, oh, that's a bit too much, let's just increase it. Yeah, it'll most likely be like 100-page booklet. So like, I gotta decrease it as much as possible, because once you start I'm like, oh, we can add that in, we can add this in, and it just ends up being like a big massive like encyclopedia. I'm like, yeah, that's too much.
Well, I guess it's all good. It shows that, your creative juices are flowing, you've got plenty of ideas. And I think that's a really great kind of resource. Very kind of innovative, not heard anything like that before. And I guess mornings can be a challenging time for parents, getting their kids ready, keeping them entertained whilst they're getting themselves ready for work. So it's a great way to kind of make the morning a bit less stressful, but also
Yeah.
get your child like ready, their brains in gear, ready for school.
Yeah. So it's sort of, it can work. And if you're a homeschooling mum and you're a stay-at-home mum, and it kind of just sort of like gives you that morning time, so you
Yeah.
can sort of like, I'm gonna give you this to do. Here's all the stuff, and then mom is gonna quickly run around the house with the Hoover and then get on with it. And it does work because sometimes you gotta do it, like, because then otherwise, or I'm gonna have a quick shower. You do this, and that's it. So you just like trying to get things done, and as long as your child's entertained, that's fine. Um, but it's sort of a variety of different work in there. So, and some are hands-on, some are sort of tracing and kind of keeps them focused. My girls have like tested the one for January and they're like, "Mommy, this is wrong. Oh, this is boring. I don't like this." So they're definitely criticize, honestly criticize as
Yeah.
well. They're not going to hold back.
Well, it sounds like all your resources have gone through like a rigorous kind of reviewing process, and they've
Yeah.
actually been, tried by the target demographic.
Yeah.
So it's all good.
And children they're just so honest. Honest, like
Yeah.
I'm like, can you just like, okay, be nice? I'm like trying. Oh.
So, what is the main magical memory you have of Sparkle Stars?
I don't know. I've got quite a few. There's quite loads of stuff that I've enjoyed doing. I think it's nice. I think my main thing is watching my girls actually thrive from it and actually learning so much. And it's nice to watch them. So when I'm actually not doing like teaching, if I'm just doing my own thing, so if I'm making dinner and they're just doing sort of like free flow play and they're just doing their own thing, and it's nice to hear them when they're playing. Oh, this what this says. That's what this says. Oh, let's put this here, and they're doing it themselves, and it's nice to hear that. Or if they're playing in the garden and then they're counting and then they're playing with each other. Oh, let's count this. Let's count the steps. Let's count this. Let's count how many stones we can throw. And I'm like, we're not throwing stones at the window, like, but then like they do a lot of stuff, and it's nice. It's nice to hear them actually in their own play. When I'm not like supervising them too much, I'm like, okay, mommy's gonna make dinner. You guys play. So, and it's nice to hear it. When they're actually doing their own thing. It's nice to hear what they're doing and like repeating what I'm teaching them. So it's like, yeah, it's going through.
I guess, yeah, it's really lovely kind of to see your project come to life because your children are actually using them. I guess if you didn't have children, you wouldn't kind of see that direct impact that
Yeah.
your resources are having. But, it's so magical to see, how your creativity and your knowledge and your expertise is actually, nourishing them and growing them.
Yeah, it's nice and it's nice. And I always like test my husband as well. How do you spell this? How do you spell that? And he's just like, I don't know. I do know this one. And then afterward, he just gets a bit fed up as well. Like, okay, go and ask mummy.
Yeah.
Stop asking me hundreds of questions. Like, so they do like to teach him as well, and it's just nice. And I'm like, but then he does like, okay, what's 10 plus 10. And then like my elder Stephanie, she knows all the answers. She's like, I know, Daddy, I know. I'm like, ask the other one, let the other one answer too. She's
Yeah.
like, yeah, but she doesn't do it quickly. I'm like, oh God. So definitely challenge each other in the house, which is nice.
I've seen on your page that you also kind of cater for diverse demographics. You've had like a Diwali book club or book box, and you've had like resources around different festivals. How important do you think it is for kind of parents from ethnic minorities to have resources kind of catered to their culture and faith?
I do think it's definitely something that's quite important and something definitely important to me, because there's not a lot of stuff out there, and a lot of the stuff is sort of very this not it's not fun. And I found sort of like definitely like teaching my children Punjabi as well. I'm definitely creating a lot of sort of resources for that, and that'll be coming out soon as well. So a lot of different types of way you can teach the children about Punjabi, and also teach them about Sikhi as well, which is definitely kind of like I want them to know. Um, but obviously so as they grow I want them to learn how to like actually read the words, how to actually and speak and write it, because I can only speak it, I can't actually read and write it. And I don't think, but me teaching them might actually help me actually read and write it as well. So we'll see. But don't not get our hopes up, but we'll see.
Yeah.
But I think it's very important that children learn in a fun way, and something that can sort of just be like used repetitively as well. You just like you so like my aim at the moment is trying to like we do have a Punjabi box out there. We have like felt letters in there, and then we have all the flashcards as well. So now I should do that with my sister. So she creates all the felt letters, because I'm like I haven't got time to do all that fiddly stuff. I'm like, you do that bit. I'm like, I said I'll do all the computer stuff. That's quicker. So we do create our language boxes, and I think we're definitely expanding from that to include different books as well, and different more hands-on. actual activities as well. So that'll definitely be coming out sort of later out in the year as well. And also teach them about the different festivals that we have. And I know with like in Hinduism, there's lots of different types of festivals, and obviously with Sikhism, there's quite a few as well. So trying to teach them like to go from there, and then I think it's definitely an important thing. I want them to know, especially in this day and age. Otherwise, you kind of like forget, and you don't want them to forget that actually their roots as well. So I think that's
That's so
important.
true. And I really like how, again, you like you said, you can't read Punjabi, but you're still kind of ambitious to actually make sure that your kids learn, and you're not letting that kind of be a barrier to teaching them. And
Yeah.
totally, like there are resources out there, but there's not many kind of mainstream ones. It's not something that kind of schools go into in as much detail, or even have the knowledge or expertise to be able to teach them. So it's great that you're kind of translating your approach with Sparkle Stars to the more kind of faith and culture aspect. And hopefully that will help a lot of other kind of children out there to engage more with their culture and faith, and to make sure that kind of it's not lost as they grow up.
Yeah, definitely. I do sometimes feel like it will get lost, and as we grow, and because like there's a lot of stuff I don't know myself, and then especially like with Punjabi, I sort of like I don't really know, I can speak it, but I don't know how to do anything else with it. And I get a lot of support from my husband, who can speak like Punjabi fluently and Hindi fluently.
It's great that you're kind of noticing that your husband's better at that particular area, and you're kind of working with him to teach the kids. And it's great that you're able to kind of identify areas to kind of develop and to kind of extend Sparkle Stars even further. So I really look forward to seeing kind of your Punjabi resources come to life.
Yeah, definitely. It's like, so exciting actually.
So what piece of advice would you give to all the magical minds, particularly the mini magical minds watching this episode?
Definitely just keep going and just keep learning and learn, like, and have fun learning, because learning doesn't have to be like a chore. Like learning can be so much fun, and you can actually make it fun. And for like parents, just like don't give up, and don't feel like discouraged, like, oh, your child's not picking it up, because they are picking up. Even if they're not vocal about it, it's fine, because they're still understanding it, it's still going in their brain. So and just don't give up, and just keep encouraging, keep going. And for the little ones, just keep going, just enjoy yourself, enjoy life, and enjoy all the play. And then the parents just like introduce activities while they're playing, and they don't even know any difference. So just enjoy it. It's early years. It's such a nice age, and it's one of those ages that they grow up so quickly, because they grow so quickly. So you definitely want to enjoy all of these little moments that you have with them, and just create as much memories as you can.
That is some great advice there. I think, I really like your focus and emphasis on fun and having, enjoying what you're doing, because I think ultimately if the kids are having fun, they're learning more. And what's the point of life if we're not going to have fun, right?
Yeah, definitely. That's so true.
So my final question is, how can viewers be part of the magic that you're making?
Well, you can reach out to me. So, obviously on my Instagram page, like direct message me. I will try to answer in a timely manner. But definitely reach out. There's links on my Instagram page to my actual store, where you can actually download resources and just to test it out yourself. If you want to be part of book club, or if you want to actually have like unlimited access to all my resources, that's fine. Just reach out, drop me a message, and I'm happy to like have a phone call with you. There's no obligation to like, yeah, I definitely want to purchase something from you. Even just a quick chat, I'm more than happy just to run some ideas through and that kind of stuff. So yeah, just reach out to me, that's it. Happy to
Great.
help.
So guys, if you're watching this, make sure you get following Sparkle Stars on Instagram and check out their amazing resources if you have children who are in their early years. So Chan, thank you so much for joining me for this episode of Magical Minds.
Thank you. It's been such a pleasure.
No problem at all. So that was this week's inspirational interview with Chan from Sparkle Stars. Stay tuned for another Magical Minds with Anisha Johal show coming soon. But for now, enjoy making magic moments with your magical mind.